Welcome back, everyone. It is third week of Web Fundamentals. First day of week 3. We're going to go into our Agile development and project week. This is going to be an exciting week for us. It's going to be our last week here at the dojo to just work on front end by itself without having to worry about a back end configuration. It's a special, unique time. It's a time to take a time for yourself to build what you desire. If you want to work in a group or if you want to work alone, this is the week to do that. Then we have our graduation at the end of the week. We want to see other people at the dojo at higher levels to graduate, to see our goals, to see project ideas for the future. Okay, so to see what can be built here at the dojo. You get to see project presentations there, as well as you make it a goal for yourself to graduate. So project presentations. We're going to present our projects to ourselves at the end of this week. So you see that on Friday. We're going to have a very different style week this week, where you see here after the morning algorithm on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday says daily stand-ups. I'll explain what that means, but we're going to be presenting our progress with our personal project to ourselves as we would in the business environment, where just like the code reviews, where you're presenting your work, your code, except for here, now in the way that we will describe how to present your work in these daily stand-ups. We want to meet those goals. And this will give us an opportunity to say that we have worked in this type of development style. There's a development style called Agile, and that's what this is referring to. And there's different development styles and how to manage projects. We're going to go through the Agile style, so that if a potential interviewer asks you, are you familiar with Agile development? You can say, yes, I've worked in the Agile development environment. With my own project, I had to do daily stand-ups to present my work. And so I'm very familiar with this process. So this is not just practice for the work, but you can now actually say that you are familiar with this process so that you have experience with it, at least this week, and then future week when you do other stacks, your projects there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into what this project week is all about. Okay, so I'm going to read this information to you up until wireframing and planning. That's for the afternoon session. So ultimately, you will complete this week in a fully functioning portfolio. You should attempt, oh, no, I'm reading the wrong one. Project requirements. Oh, no, I am reading the right one. Okay, so a portfolio is an option. It's not a requirement. So what that means is we're going to introduce this project week as if the portfolio is the best idea that you can come up with. But if you have a better idea, then you can definitely work on that and present that. But we're going to highly encourage you to make a portfolio for yourself, to present yourself like an online resume, a website that you can later post. Okay, so ultimately you will complete a fully functioning portfolio. But again, if you have a better idea, you can use that. You should attempt to incorporate some features that you will learn this week. In a field that is consistently changing, this will give you some of the most important experience for your entire career as a developer. This may be true. On your journey, you will gain experience working with some of the core concepts of the Agile development process. This will not only help you reach your project goals, but time will also provide a talking point with potential employers regarding the Agile experience. So that's what I already said. We're going to work with this style called Agile. We're going to tell potential employers that you have worked in this style of work. Your presentation provides you the opportunity to practice speaking to your work and answering questions about your code. Very similar to our code reviews. To complete your project, the requirements reflect all parts of the process, the project itself, and the presentation. Below is a checklist of the requirements that you will need in your MVP. This is the minimum viable product. So the very minimum requirement for your project. Okay, the MVP means you can have lots of goals for your product, but the minimum has to be that it does this. Okay, if you make a cell phone, you can, play Snake, it can text, but the very minimum, it has to make calls. It has to be a phone. To complete the product, to complete the project, the requirement is that you participate in the planning, meeting, daily stand-ups, and present a fully functional MVP. So it's not enough that you just do the product or the project. You have to complete the daily stand-ups and show your progress as you work. So you have to pick a project that's going to take you 5 days to complete, not one that you would complete in a couple of hours. So you have to have enough features in there or enough content in there that it would take you until Friday to complete. So think about what you're capable of doing in that 5-hour period that you would be working in a day, like what you did on the test, and multiply that by 5 so you have enough work to do for 5 days, or 4.5, or 4, whatever you imagine working. Okay, overall design. So here are the requirements for the project. Overall design and quality of the project is consistent with your abilities and individual timeline. If you know that you sketched out a goal that is way too advanced, then cut it down a little bit so that you know that you're going to be able to finish it within a couple days, not like a couple weeks. Produce a portfolio wireframe. So we're going to teach you how to build your own wireframe. We're going to do that this afternoon. How to build your own wireframe. So a wireframe is like the example for the test. We told you mimic this page, and we've sketched out what the page should look like, where the buttons would go, where different divs should go. So you're going to create your own wireframe. And here's what's expected of the content of your portfolio. You need something like an About Me section with your name and photograph, something that represents you, talks about you, your story, technologies or skills highlighting what you know. So far, you know these skills, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so you should be adding that onto your portfolio. You want to add on projects, a project section outlining work that you've completed. You can upload some of the projects you've created, or leave room for future projects that you would be uploading to your portfolio. So for example, you'll be doing project week for Python, Java, and React, or MERN. So you may want to add space to add your projects later on. And for now, just add something that fills the space, like work on that Pac-Man optional assignment, put that up as a project in there, or something in there that holds that space. Now there's a project section that I've just mentioned, a contact me section that links to your email, social media, GitHub, etc. So we've done lots of pages like this, like our very first HTML page that had a GitHub link, an email link, and some kind of LinkedIn link. So you want to create a page that has links to yourself through there. Okay. You want an attractive design, an HTML, CSS design. I would highly recommend using media queries to test if someone's going to be seeing your project on a cellular device versus a regular desktop screen, because if you have this on a website that you would host on your resume and a recruiter clicks it and the recruiter is on the phone, they would see your website on their phone instead of seeing it on a desktop. So you want to make it for both desktop and mobile view. So what we learned last week on Friday was crucial. So we want to keep that lesson handy. An interactive feature requiring JavaScript. So something in there that requires JavaScript so that your page does something that, it does something unique, not just sits there. Okay. Maybe there is a pop-up at the beginning of your page that allows the user to enter their email so that you can email them a copy of your resume anytime they enter. Something that you can, then you can close that box using JavaScript, using .remove. Or something like that. Think of some way you can use JavaScript on your page. Okay. Portfolio code should be accessible on GitHub. So you want a link to your portfolio. You want to be able to see it on GitHub. So you want to deploy your code on GitHub. And we're going to use something called GitHub Pages to host the view of your website. So we're going to be able to actually put it on the web through something called GitHub Pages. We're going to learn how to do that as well. It'll be free, so no need to worry about cost there. GitHub Pages lets you host something. Okay, so let's talk about portfolios. What your portfolio has, but the content says a lot about you as a developer. And it's not a bad time to get thinking about what we want to say. We've learned to write a lot about HTML, CSS, JavaScript using Git. So we should let the world know our skills now. We're also on a journey to learn even more in the coming weeks and hopefully throughout our careers. So we'll be able to continue to add to this portfolio we're building today, all our skills. Okay, we're free to build whatever makes us happy. To get a good idea how we might proceed, check out some of the handpicked portfolios. So we're going to go through these portfolios and have a look at what each one says, how they organize their work. These are excellent examples of portfolios. Okay. And before we continue, let's go over some important notes. Do not show a completed belt exam on your portfolio. If we modify the belt exam sufficiently, though it becomes your own project, you can modify the belt exam so much that you can't even tell that it's part of the belt exam, then that's fine. Do different colors, different logos, different names for everything. And include your contact information on the page so that recruiters can get in touch. So you want to have this on your page, contact information, and we'll put it on GitHub Pages. I already said that. So let's go through these portfolios. Here we're going to look at Kyle's. Looks like Kyle used something like Bootstrap at the top here, right? This looks like a Bootstrap style, even the font. When you hover over the buttons, they have this grayish hue. He put his, looks like a logo here, but it's just his name, K. Suyamura. So here it is, white, teal, and he has a big giant background of this beach view. He has an about me that you can see when you scroll there. You can see his bio, some stuff that represents him. He's a dancer. He's got code. He can play music on this thing. That's him. You scroll, there's got this design that like you're looking at a street view, and then it rolls up and it shows a list of technologies here. These are all the technologies that he feels comfortable showing off that he can do. And you keep scrolling and it has like this subway view. So it's separated. He's got these views here. and how he has his project section. This get out project. As you scroll down, it zips in. With CSS, you can do that. Somehow make it slide into the right. It's got this app called Forge. You can see it on GitHub. There's a GitHub link. Or you can see a demo of it, so you can go to his website. Okay. Don't actually click it. But you can link your own websites here in this app section. Pretty soon you'll be listing all your apps on a website, so you want to leave room for being able to do that, not just seeing the code, but be able to see the website itself. This is an excellent example of that, showing your code and showing the demo. And you scroll down, you get past this view here of like a nice forest. You see the contact me section. You have his Dropbox, his YouTube, SoundCloud, GitHub, LinkedIn, and somewhere to email him. This mail to it will open your default emailer, so you can email him. Okay, so now let's look at another one. Kate Dev DC. Look at this one here. It's like this background is a carousel in Bootstrap. It's scrolling through different pages here. You can click on each one and it'll switch up here based on what you click. And on the top left, we have the name, a logo, and staff engineer in Washington, DC. You can click this about. It'll scroll to this about section that has a name, different skills, graphic design, web design, software application. Click services. You're able to see different services that Kate might provide. Click on this nav bar, so you can go to skills. Skills here will be a list of different skills that she's gathered, and a little blurb about them. So this is definitely something you can incorporate, a nav bar that scrolls to that section, education. She doesn't have anything on education. Certifications, experience. I think it's just loading a little slow. There it is. So now you can open up each section. This is definitely something you can take as a component already built in Bootstrap. You just fill in the information here, but this is already built for you in Bootstrap. Certifications. These are like links, image links that when you hover over them, they change and they go to different websites. Now we have a work experience here. This is just an unordered list with these nice titles here of different work experience she's had over the years. Okay, she's listed all of them with different colored pencil logos. And references. And she has a list of references as well. Lead instructor at Coding Dojo is one reference, and the senior developer somewhere else. Organizations. Just link different organizations she's a part of. And finally, the contact information. You can write a name, your email, and then put a message in here. And this message will send through this website. Or you can call through here. And then you have a CAPTCHA that you can click. Make sure you're not a robot to send that message. Let's go through this website. Elaine Theodore. Really simple layout, but if you click this arrow here, we see the nav bar up top, just 4 options. A name, general color background, click this arrow, and it will go down. It just links to here in the page. This About Me section, it's just a div on the left that has text, and on the right, this percentage bar is 90%, 75%. You can easily make this using HTML or CSS, right? You make these bars, you make the width 75% or 90% of that whole entire space they can take up. Make them different background colors. What I do, and she has different logos here, set in the middle of the page. H1 in the or H2 in the middle of the page here, and then sections of different links to her work, the book club website about books. This is the technologies that she used. This is the name of the app. This is technology, the name of the app, technologies she used. When you hover over it, it increases the size. Different apps, Team Manager, the Traveler. This is the contact me section, is a picture of her. Get in touch. You can email, GitHub, LinkedIn. Also here at the bottom, she has a copyright. And let's look lastly at Akimi Yano's. Here we have a nav bar, different, like more fun style font. You have a quote here, I want to be able to create anything I can imagine. Here she's rock climbing. She has an about me section. And a little animation here as you go along these three playing dots. My career as a software engineer. Talks about her projects. Her first project. It's like a story. It's like you're reading a story as you're scrolling down through her page. And then you read about time at the boot camp. She's explaining her time at the dojo, what technologies she learned in the time that she was here. It's very smart the way she did it, because she's not just listing her skills, but she's listing how she got her skills through the dojo, what kind of training that she experienced. And then a link to her progress on GitHub. Every time you push on GitHub, you're able to see a green dot increase, as she now linked an image of these green dots showing that she's been working a lot. So you can check her progress on GitHub through there. As you're scrolling, we have these bars of this aesthetic look where as you scroll, you go up and down through the image. So that's something you can look into, how to do that in CSS. She's made this app, Coronavirus Forecast Center, and you can see a link to it on YouTube, GitHub, and then the actual website itself. Another link to a interactive computer vision app. Describes what it does, links to the work. Multilingual video chat. Describes what it does, link to the work, and a little GIF as well. So you guys don't have that many projects to show as I would see on this developer here, but you can make fake projects. You can put what you imagine that you would be creating and then put a link to a GitHub, make it empty, but know that you can fill it out later as you learn what you're gonna build, right? You can talk about apps that you haven't built yet, but something that you can plan on building that you know that you can do with the skills that you acquire here at the dojo. So talk about apps that you have as goals, as something already done, but you can add something here, or you can add something that, change the test to make it so unrecognizable about this other website that you could imagine building, showing off as a substitute project for when you get a better project that you want to replace it with. She has the Who's That Pokemon game. She used that Pokemon API to create a website for that Who's That Pokemon game. And then climbing training analysis, some app to help with rock climbing. Okay, and then she listed her skills. Another image here that when you scroll, you see more of. It's like a machine, and then we have front end, website frameworks, web libraries, different technologies that she's familiar with. A list of education here. So coding dojo at this monastery and at this university. Another area here where it shows experience, software intern, teaching assistant, working at Google, working at Huawei. So here's the work experience and then courses. So this is another way to list education, just all the courses she's taken. And finally, a contact me. Then you have all the links: GitHub, LinkedIn, email, YouTube, Twitter, Medium. Okay, so you have you have 4 examples, excellent examples to mimic. If you can make your portfolio look like any of these, you would have make a great goal, and you would have met it, and would all be impressed if you can make something like any of these or close to it. Okay, so these are some ideas for some portfolio projects. These are like top quality that you want to be able to mimic or make. So if you need any inspiration for what you can do in the next 4 days, working at least 5 hours each day on this, these would be great goals. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about so far portfolio projects and how they would look and how they would work? Okay, great. So then let's continue to talk about the process of how we're going to display our work as we go through the week. It's going to be through this process called Agile. All right, let me read what it is. The Agile development process is a process which many tech companies use to iterate quickly and efficiently so they can continuously deploy and test new features to deliver a better product each time. Okay, you can read the Agile manifesto here. It's too much to read, honestly, but you can read it. I'll explain what it is. The Agile Manifesto, the original documentation for Agile development, was created in 2001 and emphasizes the values in individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. Since then, these practices have become an industry standard to the extent that many job descriptions specifically seek out candidates with experience using this framework. So what it is this. Teams, the difference between working each day on a project and being able to change the direction of what your project is going to be and how it's going to work based on day-to-day changes or progress reports, as opposed to this method called waterfall. There's a way to develop or manage projects in development called waterfall, where you make a grand goal. Let's say your goal is to make an e-commerce app, right? You're making an e-commerce app, something like Target.com or Walmart or Amazon, something you can sell things online, your own store online. You have the way that you would make the website look. You have specific goals for how it's going to be. And let's say you're the manager of the project and you have 5 developers working for you. Okay, I'm making you, the listener in the class, the project manager, and then you would be asking at the very end of the target day that you would have picked for those developers if they met that overall goal. Okay, so you're seeing a long sprint, a long duration of work, and you're seeing if they made that end goal project. The difference between that style and Agile, which we're telling you now, is that you make a goal, but you check in every day to see how it is that you are meeting that goal, and if there is a problem with the design, to make a pivot and change something that either improves on the design or changes something about the design target that you're meeting because it doesn't make sense, or it's better to focus energies on a better feature, a more necessary feature that was realized along the process, or because something is just taking longer than expected, something minute that you did not expect to be an error that you cannot meet the long overall goal. So you are just updating the project manager on status of your work. So imagine we did it this way. Instead of checking every day your progress on this project week, where I just checked on Friday. Instead of asking you how you're doing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I just asked you on Friday, did you complete the goal that you said you were going to meet on Monday? Okay, you can either present your work and show that you did it, or you said, no, I actually ran into some problems. I realized I didn't want to do this. Okay, you would not have met the required goal that you said you were. As opposed to, as we do it this way, Agile, where I check every single day to make sure you're meeting the goal. And if not, why and what you can do to either fix that problem or to move on to another problem and change the direction or path that you are going on to finish the goal, and even make a difference in what you want your goal to be, if you have to. Okay, so I'm going to read this here, but that's basically what it's going to describe. How it works. Teams typically develop features in sprints. Sprint is a duration of time that you would be working. So teams typically develop features in sprints that last either 1 or 2 weeks. Each sprint consists of a planning meeting, daily stand-ups, and finishes with a retrospective meeting. So looking back into your work. Features developed during sprints are written in the form of user stories rather than a long to-do list of development tasks. These user stories have a following structure. As a user, I want to, and then you say the feature, I want to be able to do this so that I can, then you say the benefit, do this. This structure lends itself to completed sprints, resulting in deployable features to address business concerns. Because sprints are short with frequent iteration, developers can respond to customer needs and consistently improve their own development process. So this is something to hold us, the developer, accountable. Okay, they are checking each day what feature we're working on and why, to make sure that we are doing the work we're saying we're doing. Implementation in Project Week. During Project Week at Coding Dojo, you'll be using the basics of Agile framework. Not only will this process help with some time management and finishing this week with a successful project, but it will also provide valuable experience to prepare you for your career as a software developer. Your instructor, myself, will assign you a group of 4 or 5 with whom you will have your planning meeting and daily stand-ups. This, 4 or 5 is a pretty large group. And if you're working on a personal portfolio project, you can work on it with someone else to get a similar design and then adapt that design for yourself. But I think you guys are able to work as individuals on your own portfolio projects and really meet the goal of what we saw today. You guys are totally able to do that. Even if you don't know all the skills, you have that time to research and learn something new this week that I didn't teach you. Find a feature on a website that you've seen before where something animates or scrolls in a certain way and Google how this is made. Now you can inspect the page, click on that element on that website, and you can see for yourself the CSS rules that make that thing work. Right? So you can look into pages now. You can look underneath the hood of all types of websites and see how they work, what rules they use, as well as Googling. Okay, so your instructor will assign a group of 4 to 5. So I'll most likely say work individually. Okay, so that's the goal for now. Inspiration and idea generation. So we already have these ideas, but if you want to make a project, it's different than a portfolio project. Think about making something related to environmentalism, reducing carbon emissions, something about waste disposal, something about recycling, okay? In-need individuals, something about helping your community, helping the hungry in your community, people with PTSD, homelessness. people that need financial services, or you can choose your own cause, something that you're passionate about, something that maybe there's a business out there. Okay, you can make it a website, a blog about adventures. Think of your hobbies. You can make a website about your own hobby. You can make a business website, someone that you are hoping to help. They can write as a recommendation on your LinkedIn portfolio, this person helped me build my website for free, was a great help in our business. I highly recommend this person as your software developer. Find someone in your family or friends that needs some sort of website that you can help build for them. Get a design from them, work with them. Okay. Minimum viable product. Okay, this is what we'll go over here. In software, MVP stands for minimum viable product. While creating an MVP, developers decide which features of a product are most important. So these are the most important features in your project that you will need to implement to meet your minimum goal. For the user experience, the UX, all right? UX stands for user experience. While taking the least amount of time and resource to develop. Once the MVP is launched, developers will continue to add and deploy additional features as they continuously test their product. So this is like, once you meet the MVP, then you can launch your app, then you can deploy it, and then as you make changes that are going to make it better, then you do so. But then when it's at the MVP, you should have it already deployed, already being able to be shown. Okay, so this is the goal that you want to make, at least meet your own MVP by the end of the week. MVP in project week. Perhaps you already have an amazing idea for a website that you want to develop for your project this week. Before you dive in, create a list of user stories. Ask yourself, which of these user stories are absolutely essential to meet my project requirements by presentation day? This is your MVP. Any and all additional features can be added after presentations, or if you manage to finish early. It is critical to keep your goals this week attainable so you can deliver a completed project during your presentation. So you want to present on Friday. If you are absent or miss Friday, we will all say boo to you. Just kidding, no. But we want to make it, okay? I want to see what you guys are capable of doing. Now that you have that skill, now that you passed the test, prove to each other that you guys are able to do something with that skill, with that work. Okay, so planning your timeline. Once you've determined reasonable scope for your MVP, you'll need to develop a timeline, which features need to be completed in which dates. Timelines are crucial to project management. They provide transparency into your work for your instructor and teammates. Okay, so also need a timeline. We also need a timeline saying on Tuesday I should complete these features. On Wednesday, I should complete these features. By Thursday, I should be done with my whole project after I complete these features. Okay, so plan not only the blueprint of your work, but the timeline that you expect to be making with the work. Okay, that's also important. When you do your daily stand-up meetings on your job, your boss is going to ask you, how are we doing on progress with the features that we required that you build? Oh, I'm currently experiencing this error. I think that it will take me by the end of today to figure out what the error is. I have several theories as to what's causing the error. If I don't get it by tomorrow afternoon, then I will move on to this next bug feature and try to complete this at least, okay? If that's optional, if that's an option. Okay, so you want to say every day how well you have met your goals, your timeline goals for that day, what you plan to do to fix it if you haven't met it, and show the work that you have completed if you have met it. Okay. Warning: creating your wireframe user stories and timeline should take no more than 1 day. While it's true that 5 hours of planning might save you 15 days of coding, 5 days of planning will use up all of your time. So keep your ideas simple and reach out if you have, if you're feeling stuck. Okay. So I would love to help you find whatever you like to build your website about. So right now, what I'm going to ask you to do, even though it doesn't say so on the calendar, what I'm going to ask you to do is read through and do these things here. Okay, so we have wireframes. This is going to show you how to build a wireframe. So go through this here. And creating a Git repo for your project. Also, you have here, search this website called Trello. And Trello is going to be a website where you build your timeline for your wireframe that you would have created. So you have a way to create you have all these websites that you can create a wireframe in. The best one is called Balsamiq. That's what you would see for the wireframes that we saw on our projects, on our assignments, and on the tests. So create a free trial using Balsamiq. They have, I think, a 1 month free trial that you're going to want to use. And also, so does Trello. So Google the Trello board, make yourself a account with the free membership. Cancel it if you don't want to get charged before the month ends. This one's also another month. So create a wireframe for your app. Think of an idea that you want to make, okay? And then in the afternoon, I will go through wireframing and planning a little bit. I'll break you guys off into groups, and you guys will be asking about each other's projects, digging into each other's projects, adding recommendations after we go through wireframing and planning. So it's going to be more like a lab instead of a lecture. I just want to make sure that you guys are, you want to poke and be able to poke and prod each other's ideas. Like, hey, don't you think you could be better if you added something like this? Or why do you have this feature? It doesn't seem like it would be something worth the effort when you have something better that maybe you're already working on that might take 3 days. I don't know. Whatever the conversation that would take you, think about questions that you would ask other teammates about their apps that maybe they can help improve their apps or inspire them to build something different or more on that time span that you have for the 4 weeks. And then after we go into different groups, we're going to present, each of us, our own project and our own timeline for our project. So we're going to talk about what our goals are for the rest of the week, what we plan on building as a project, how it's going to look on the wireframe, and our timeline for each of the features that we would have added to that project. So we're going to do that at the end of the second lecture that we have today. Okay, so for now, we're just thinking of the project, we're building the wireframe, we're building the timeline, we're getting ready to go present them in groups, talk about what we can add, make better, and then present them all together to me at the end of the day and to the rest of the class. Okay, and then you have the rest of the day to work on those projects, and then get started for completing it throughout the week. Okay, does anyone have any questions about then what we're doing now? Okay, if you want to go through this section, it's past the algorithm section, which is past the JavaScript section. So you scroll to this area, and then you see all of these tabs here that you would see here. Okay. As far as UX, UI information, I'm going to put that into tomorrow's morning lecture, talk about user experience, user interface. This is going to help refine your goals as a project as we go through the week. Okay, so we're going to do our daily stand-ups after that. And then we're going to do daily stand-ups every day in the morning after our algorithm. We're going to show our progress according to our timeline, our goals. And we are going to present on Friday morning after our morning algorithm. So guys, welcome to the final week. This is probably the most fun of Web Fun that we'll have. So let's enjoy the final week together and have good projects. So I'll go ahead and create breakout groups and end the lecture if you have no further questions.